I'm going to be reacting to an Uber driver that financed $60,000 to do Uber and Lyft.
So I've been a full-time gig worker. I've been doing Lyft, and I financed 2 vehicles.
All right, so right off the bat, we have a couple problems. Problem one is that he has 2 cars. Both of them have been financed, and he's using both for Uber and Lyft. I recommend that if you're going to do Uber and Lyft, you should do it with a car that has no debt attached to it. It makes your business so much smoother and so much safer. Imagine something happens to your car, like your engine blows out while you still owe a loan on that car. You're stuck paying for that loan despite the fact that you're not making any money anymore.
The first one I financed was a Honda CR-V.
Okay, so he said he financed a Honda CR-V. Let's go and look at what the Honda CR-V is. And it sounds like he bought them brand new, which is another mistake. If you're gonna do Uber and Lyft, do not buy brand new. Let someone else eat that depreciation. So here's a brand new Honda CR-V 2026. A Honda CR-V seats 5 people in a standard configuration. While a 7-seater version is available in some international markets, the standard model in North America seats a maximum of 5 passengers. Another piece of advice I would give to you is that do not buy a car that can only sit 5 people and it be an expensive version of a 5-seater. What I'm really saying is you're better off buying a Toyota Prius that sits 5 people than you are buying a SUV that sits 5 people. Like, I know that these vehicles could potentially qualify for some categories of Uber and Lyft that might earn you a little bit of money, but the price difference that you can get for a used Prius for 10 grand versus paying 60 grand that this guy financed for this, you're not making that money up on the difference in price. If you're gonna go and buy a big car, it needs to sit 7 people or it needs to qualify for black.
I financed it $60K.
I'm a little worried about his phrasing because he said he financed it for $60K. It doesn't tell us how much money he might have put down for it.
He financed a Honda for $60K to drive Uber.
Okay, so down here, it says I'm paying $2,800 a month in car payments. Should I have one of these cars voluntarily repossessed? Damn, he's paying more than I'm paying for my mortgage for 2 cars. With a $2,800 amount car payment, that's not including insurance, not including other expenses like gas, tires, oil, maintenance, his cost of living. Let's assume his cost of living is $3,000 a month. He needs to make almost $5,000 before he breaks even.
You financed a Honda for $50,000 or $60,000 to drive Uber.
I know they're thinking it, but they're not saying it. You can get better cars for that price. You got a Honda CR-V, $60,000, 5-seater. Doesn't even qualify for black. Doesn't qualify for XL. This guy didn't do any research. I'm getting upset because this is the story of so many people who do Uber and Lyft. Even veteran drivers, they make this mistake over and over and over.
You got financial advice from other Uber drivers.
Yeah.
You just said that out loud.
Okay, I'm gonna fight Dave on this a little bit. While I will say that the average Uber and Lyft drivers aren't the most financially savvy people, if you want to be successful with Uber and Lyft, you absolutely have to treat it like a business. And when your numbers are saying that the business is no longer worth it, you need to have a proper exit strategy. I do not believe Uber and Lyft is a good long-term career. I think it's great for transitions, and I think it's great to sprint towards a certain goal. I've been with Uber and Lyft for about 4 years, 5 years now, and I believe that by studying the trends, by knowing my numbers, every year Uber and Lyft make it harder and harder to make the same amount of money. Now, I'm kind of making the same amount of money that I did when I started. I'm making a little more just because I have the knowledge now. But I know that I'm having to do tricks. I'm having to work harder. I'm having to pay more attention. I'm having to do more in order to make the same. So that means that the people who aren't doing more, the people who are doing the minimum, they're losing money. And a lot of people want to do this long term. And if that's you, do your best. My thing is that make sure you have an off-ramp. Make sure you put yourself in a financial situation so that one month you wake up and you realize this is no longer serving you, that you can walk away and walk into something else without sacrificing your finances. That's what my channel is about. So subscribe if that's you. Let's continue.
Okay, so you got the $60,000 car. What else?
Yeah, and so it was just a regular SUV. And so I was making decent money at first. I was making about $2,700 a week.
Okay, so he's making $2,700 a week. One thing that drivers don't really think about that I'm very, very, very mindful of is if you have a car payment that is almost $3,000, 2 car payments is almost $3,000, even just a car payment, that's almost $1,000. I think the average car payment right now is like $750 to $1,000. You're putting yourself in a position where if you don't want to work, you're losing money. My goal with Uber and Lyft is to make as much money as I can, yes, but because I want to. I never, ever want to feel pressured, or at least more pressured than I already have to do Uber and Lyft. If you have high expenses, because you went out and got $3,000 worth of car payments, you are now obligated to, at minimum, drive that $3,000, not including your other expenses. That's not what I want for you guys. That's not what I want for myself. Uber and Lyft serves as a stepping stone to something better. You should be using Uber and Lyft to lower your expenses by paying off your debt and finding something else to do. Uber and Lyft is supposed to provide you with the margin of finances and the freedom of time so that you can go chase other things.
I started seeing my earnings go down because Uber, they got rid of this one program called Uber Green.
So Uber Green, that is something that happened. Uber started phasing out hybrid vehicles from its Uber Green service in April 2025 as it transitioned to an all-electric product. Okay, so it was phased out 2025 this year. And because Uber made a change, it's now affecting his income. But here's the thing, right? And I think he said he did this in 2023. So he should know that over time, both Uber and Lyft make changes to their platforms that result in decreased pay. We saw this with the upfront fares that drivers were crying for, and Uber and Lyft use upfront fares as a way to decrease earnings by no longer using the rate card. Lyft got rid of street bonuses. Lyft got rid of so many different types of bonuses that were really advantageous to the driver. In fact, they just got rid of dollar surge bonuses and replaced it with percentage. And while there are some positives of the percentages, overall, it's a pay decrease in disguise. I'm going to make a video on that. I'm working on it right now. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see it. Uber just announced a bunch of changes where some of them are great for drivers. It improves quality of life. It gives you more things to do, more options, but it doesn't address the fact that they keep decreasing our pay. And that ties back into my belief that Uber and Lyft are not long-term things that we should be doing. Even if you want to take out self-driving cars, we've seen them decline our pay over time and then add in self-driving cars. They have more of an incentive to continue to do so.
So then, I would say my earnings dropped by $500 or $600.
So he said his earnings dropped by $500 or $600. I don't know if he means weekly or monthly. I'm going to assume weekly because we're talking on a week-to-week basis with his earnings. So he's saying his income went from about $2,800 a week to about $2,200 a week. And we also don't know how many hours he's working per week.
I was talking to other drivers who are like, hey, you might need to level up, get an XL vehicle, which is
Oh, I see where this is going. This is bad.
So then what I did
So did you trade in the CRV for?
No. I went to the dealership. I put down because I had savings of $50,000.
Oh my God. This man had savings of $50,000, but he went and took out a loan for $60,000 on a 5-seater Honda CRV. I feel it in my gut. He was better off going out and buying a Prius for 10 grand. Instead, he financed the vehicle for $60,000 and then, oh my God. Let's keep going, guys.
Put down $30,000 to get the, it was an Acura MDX.
So did you trade in the CRV for?
No. He didn't even trade in the CRV.
Down because I had savings of $50,000. I put down $30,000.
Okay, savings of $50,000. He put down $30,000 and he still financed $60,000
to get the, it was an Acura MDX.
Let's see if it qualifies for Uber Black. And it doesn't even say that it qualifies for Black. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that it did qualify for Black and that it did qualify for Black XL. Highly doubt it. Even if that were the case in the past, this would be another example of it no longer being the case. And if that's not the case at all, then this is an example of this guy not doing his research. Or maybe he's in a city where it does qualify for it. This is Los Angeles, and I'm not sure what city he is from. But either way, man, even if it qualifies for Uber Black XL, the way he went about doing this is not the way I would recommend anyone to do this. I'll give my recommendations at the end.
So you kept the Honda CRV and then got an Acura MDX?
Yeah,
why?
They didn't want it. The dealership was like, hey, if we take it, there's a lot of negative equity.
Okay, my mind continues to be blown. This guy went to the dealership, dropped $30,000 out of the $50,000 that he had on this car, and still had to finance more money and is upside down on this car, but he did not trade in his old car. That means he rolled over negative equity from previous purchases that he's not sharing with us into this car. And that is a mistake I've seen drivers do so often. If you go back to my example where if you have a car, the engine goes bad, and now you need another car, I've seen people just roll over that negative equity into the next car. And that's how you end up with these car payments that are more expensive than my mortgage. This guy could have this house that I'm in if he did not have these cars. And I strongly believe that so many Uber and Lyft drivers out there are sacrificing the ability to purchase a home because they want to have cars.
So what did you pay for the MDX?
First of miles, about $54,000.
Oh, Lord.
He paid $54,000 for the MDX. He put 30 down. Okay.
Later, I bought this one in 2024.
You financed 54.
He bought it last year.
So you put down 30 and financed 54, so you paid 84?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's disgusting. He paid $80,000 for a car. According to what I've looked at, and I could be wrong, I feel like I have to be wrong. I feel like I have to be wrong because there's no way he paid $80,000 for an MDX. He could have gotten a Suburban that was used probably for less than 50 grand that still qualified for Black XL. Look at that. 2023 Chevy Suburban, 36 grand, 93K miles. A little high on the mileage. You could do 41K, 73K. But he had the cash to afford these. And like, let's say he buys this with cash and then Uber XL Black disappears or it's not financially viable in his market. He has a mistake he can fix. He might lose 10, 15 grand by reselling the vehicle. You might recoup all of it, honestly. That can happen. But even if you lost 10 or 15 grand by paying cash for a car and then selling it because it's no longer serving him, as we're like starting to hear with his the Honda, they wouldn't take that trade-in because he owed so much money on it. It traps you.
How old are you, Joseph?
29, sir.
Okay. All right. Do you have a real
This
job
guy's
yet?
my age.
I did it
I'm 33, but he's within that bracket.
at the moment, but I wasn't making the kind of money that I was making doing Uber and Lyft.
No,
I
honey,
was
you weren't making
so-
any money doing Uber and Lyft because you haven't been smart enough to factor in all the losses on your vehicles.
You're right.
You factored that in, you didn't even break even. And by the way, you didn't take
Not just the depreciation, the cost of the car.
out gas and repairs either, did you? No.
Yeah, and I was going to get to that. Yeah.
By the time you do all of that, you didn't even make money on all this. You've been working for free for Uber.
The fastest way to realize profit is to not owe money on your car.
That's true. Because at first I saw the money was great. You know, like when I got
No, the gross revenue was great. The net profit was not great.
3,500. Right.
There's a difference.
And that's the case for most drivers. I pride myself on doing the best that I can to always lower my expenses because the fastest way to financial independence isn't always making more money. That's part of the equation. The fastest way that you can do right now tonight is to go through all of your spending for the last 3 months, write them all down into categories so you can visualize where your money is going, and then stop putting your money into those things.
And do you have a job now?
Currently, yes, I do have a job. Unfortunately, about 22 an hour, not a lot.
22 an hour is not a lot, but it's not that bad. That's something that can keep your lights on, keep your bills paid for if you're diligent about what's going on in your household, depending on where you live, what your rent is. But man, $20 an hour, $28,000 a month, that's not sustainable. It's his expenses that makes his life unsustainable.
What were you doing before your Uber escapades?
Yeah, I was working as I was just doing regular minimum wage jobs. You know, like
And here's the cool part. This guy was working minimum wage jobs and somehow saved up $50,000. I think you're great. And even if you were doing that with Uber and Lyft, because there's like tiers to what you were doing and how you're doing it, you have the ability to save. But it seems like you're just trying to manage debt, right? But you had the cash. You could have bought something for cash, and then you'd be able to walk away from this a lot easier than having to call into a show to figure out what the hell you're going to do.
The Acura, you put 30,000 down. You should not be upside down.
That is a good point. He put 30,000 down. He shouldn't be upside down on this. He probably rolled over negative equity into this.
You should be able to sell this vehicle. What's it worth?
private sale. I mean, it's worth on Kelley Blue Book about 48.
And you owe what?
That's another good point. When you're trying to sell your car, I think that you should always try to do private sale. I bought my car private sale on Facebook Marketplace. I drove to Charlotte. I bought it, and it was great. It's still serving me very, very well. And you get the most bang for your buck. The reason why private sale is better is because if you go to someone like Carvana, where it's easier, they need to make their profit when they go and resell your car. So they're going to look at the worth of your car and say, hey, here's how much money we need to make on this car. Let's say your car is worth $20,000, but we need to make $5,000 when we sell it to someone else. So we will buy it from you for $15,000 so that when we sell it, we make that $5,000. And that's not evil. It's just that when you're in a bad financial situation and you allow people to take advantage of you, and take advantage is a strong word, but when you're desperate to fix this issue that you're having, you're going to be willing to be lowballed. You're not going to have the patience to sit around and wait for the correct offer for your car.
You owe what?
54, a little over 54.
So hold on. He put 30,000 down. He owes over 54.
You put down $30,000. You've driven it 1 year, and you're already upside down.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about Uber and Lyft. I feel like he's hiding information, but we put more miles on our car than the average person. And mileage is the fastest way to depreciate your car. And on top of that, when you buy brand new, as soon as you drive the car off the lot, it loses like 5% of its value. The largest percentage that a car declines in value is within the first 3 to 5 years, especially if you own a Tesla. So my advice is, even if you were to pay cash for a car, even if you were to buy a car brand new in cash, which I don't recommend you do that unless you're debt-free and have a net worth over $1 million, even if that's the case, you should drive it until the wheels fall off. If you really want to make the best out of it, that's what you should do. And that's a big misnomer that a lot of rideshare drivers have about depreciation. Your car can't depreciate below $0. If I bought a $10,000 used Prius and it is now worth $5,000, yeah, I lost $5,000 in depreciation, but eventually, regardless of how many miles I drive, I can't go below 0. And that's a lot of drivers are miscalculating the importance or lack of importance that depreciation has. Depreciation only matters if you're going to sell your car. That's the real math of it all. It doesn't hit until you sell. People like to think of the 70 cents mileage write-off as a depreciation measure, but it's not. That's what the government estimates your expenses and depreciation is. But my actual depreciation is significantly less. My actual expenses are like 15 cents per mile. And so the difference between 15 cents per mile and 70 cents per mile, I pocket in tax-free cash as a result of the standard deduction. That's where Uber drivers make their money. So if you have high expenses, it's going to be hard to justify the tax-free dollars that you could be earning because your expenses are so damn high.
Yeah.
I mean, how many miles you put on? How many miles you put on it?
About 30,000.
Oh, so
30,000 1 year as an Uber Lyft driver is not bad. He's doing black stuff. So I say he's doing like $2 or $3 per mile. So he's making what? He made about 100K last year. That kind of tracks with the numbers he gave, where he's saying he's making $2,800-ish a month. That should put him over $100,000 for the year. If you want to make $100,000 in a year, you need to make $2,000 a week. Which, if you're driving based here in a bad market, you can do it, but you're gonna have to do a lot of hours. So it's not far off in the ballpark of what he's saying. These numbers make sense in that I don't think he's hiding too much stuff, but there's something missing here that he's not sharing.
something does that sound right?
No.
I was gonna say that doesn't add up to me.
I'm kind of gut feeling right now. Like there's $80,000 for MDX. That doesn't add up. That's why I'm thinking he rolled over a negative equity from previous cars into this. And let's see. Hopefully we get an answer.
Here's the deal.
Well, no, because it's a 2024. That's why the value is not so low.
That's why it dropped so much. Still,
I just said that. The newer the car, the more the value will drop. You can.
I'm confused. Were you guys expecting a lower number than 48?
well,
No, we're
typically,
expecting a higher number.
yeah, because you put 30,000
No,
down,
it's
which means there's that much room.
You had to
for
lose $30,000 in value before you got upside down.
Right, but when I bought it, it was brand new. It had 0 miles. I put 30,000 miles.
No. See, he's not paying attention here. His car did not depreciate $30,000 in 1 year. It could have. I don't think that's what happened.
Is your credit terrible? Can you go get down to the bank and get a loan for the difference?
Probably terrible.
It's kind of bad because I'm late. I've been late for a month.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you guys a quick tip. Let's say you owe $30,000 on your car, but your car is worth $20,000. You are better off going to the bank if you can, taking out a loan for $10,000. Or even taking out a loan for $15,000. Take 10 of that thousand, sell your car. With the loan, you pay the rest of the car off, and now you're left with $5,000. Use that $5,000, go buy a junker, go do food delivery until you can buy a better car. Or buy a $5,000 Prius off of Facebook Marketplace. You will be in a better position to make better decisions doing that. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. 3 years ago, when I started preaching about this, I had people disagree with me. And fast forward, I'm seeing people who did not take my advice, did the opposite, did things similar to this guy, get their account messed up, can't drive for Lyft anymore, has to get the car repoed. Or Uber now requires drivers in LA to have commercial insurance, and you can't get commercial insurance on certain cars unless the car is paid off. So these people have these cars sitting in their driveway just racking up payments because they can't use them. In a perfect world, on the balance sheet, people say, let me go take out this loan, borrow this money. This is my car payment. It'll be okay because on paper, it looks good. But the second life hits you, the second something changes, and it will change, you're screwed. And that's what I'm trying to protect people against. And it's hard because they go and they look at the math and like, oh, Tristan, you're stupid. This guy's doing this guy's doing that. But they're not sharing the realities with you.
These loans are with the car companies, right?
Yeah, both look the same. Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do is try to scramble and get out of these cars with car loans and extra work.
He needs to live in his car, sleep in the airport. Like 24/7, this man needs to be driving. When he runs out of hours on Uber, he needs to go and jump on a Lyft. And he needs to get rid of one of these cars as quickly as possible using one of the methods that I just told you.
I got to pay for like groceries. I got to pay for,
What market are you in?
That's very California.
I know.
So he's in California where he has to be paying out the booty hole for insurance, the highest insurance market. And to be doing black, if that's accurate, he's paying for commercial insurance on top of like regular insurance for his other car. So he probably has commercial on one car, regular on the other, and he's living in a state that is expensive. That gas is expensive.
We're in California.
Yeah. San Francisco.
Well, you've got to reverse the things that are killing you. And the first thing is to not be driving the Honda, or the second car, because we've got to get out of it. It's the one you have.
You're one person. You don't even need two cars. That's ridiculous. And I see other YouTubers here that do that.
A chance of getting out of. The other one, you're neck deep in it. And if you just turn these cars in, they're going to sell them for 50% of what you think they're going to sell them for, and they're going to sue you for the difference. And
yeah, so he needs to come up with the difference in money fast. And then he just needs to let the cars go. Go work your 22-hour job. Start over with a clean slate and build yourself back up. I'm not going to say it's easier. It's safer. It's less stressful. It gives you more options. That's what he has to do because of the hole that he put himself into that he didn't have to. He had $50,000 saved up.
So your best thing to do is control the price of the sale price of the car, and the hole that you're in that corresponds to that by getting these sold, by covering the differences.
Listen, if you're an Uber and Lyft driver and you're not tracking your numbers, I have a spreadsheet available. You can get it if you become a member here on YouTube. If you become a member, it's a monthly fee, but if you just have to pay once, download it and stop it if you want to. I'm not here to nickel and dime you guys. I'm here to help. And in this spreadsheet, you put in your miles, your personal and your business, and it separates them. You put in your income. I have my different income types right here. My total. This is just me working on the weekends because I have a baby after. This was in August. It has the formulas that break it down for you. I made $45 per hour gross. My mileage was $2,033. My per mile rate was $2.22 per mile. My expenses was $581. My insurance, my car wash, my grid wise. I tinted my car that month. So without me tinting my car, it would have been $318 less. Pretty good, right? My expenses are very, very low. And then over here, it even calculates your estimated taxes, your true net, and your true hourly. So after all my expenses and estimated taxes, the amount of money I actually brought home was $3,451, which is pretty good. And that's just working weekends. And then my true hourly was $34.69 AE. So go get this if you need it, and subscribe if you want more advice that's going to help you take control of your money.